Hello and welcome. My name is Tara and I'm going to be talking about the hustle culture in this video. Now, I'm sure if you have had a corporate job, if you have your own business, you've gone through the motions of working really, really hard, maybe even going through burnout, maybe losing a sense of self, maybe feeling like you've been up against a wall and working really hard and not getting ahead. There's a lot of pressure around making money and around performance in our corporate culture and in our work environment as a whole. So even if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur in the corporate culture, however it is for you, there's a lot of pressure around money and performance and results. And this has been going on for a long time. But over time, over the last maybe 10 years or so, it's now becoming a bit more talked about around burnout, around healthy work environments, around work-life balance, but it still has a long way to go. And especially when you're really in the thick of performance and making moves and making money and growing your wealth and really trying to get ahead in life. Now, there are many different streams that I can go down with regards to touching on the different aspects of the work culture and how it affects us. First, I want to start off with looking at what drives us into being a performance-driven person based on results, based on working really hard and giving our life literally to work and getting ahead and making money. Well, there are a few things, and I'm also speaking from my experience because I've worked in the corporate culture. I've also had my own business. I've been an entrepreneur over the last probably 10 years or so. But before that, I spent the majority of my employee status working in a corporate environment. I worked for some of the top agencies in North America, digital marketing agencies, and I worked very hard. I do have a really good work ethic, but when I was working for a corporation, I was really out of balance with that. And for many years, I was very driven to make a name out of myself, to create some kind of status, to work for awards, to say that I worked on these big accounts and it was a thing and that was acceptable. And when you're in a certain culture within your work environment, that's accepted. That's what is driving a lot of the success. And there's nothing wrong, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with success. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with winning awards. There's nothing wrong with doing your best and striving for the best results that you could possibly can do. And I'm all for it. However, there's a great imbalance in the work that we can do or in the achievements that we want to accomplish. And that's what I'm really dissecting in this video. When I was involved in the corporate culture, in the corporate industry, in the marketing industry, there was a very strong emphasis around accounts, what kind of accounts we were on. The awards were huge. The status was huge. There was a lot of big talk and big hype and really selling ourselves as individuals along with the accounts that we were on. And I felt that I was losing meaning with myself and with the work that I was doing. And that's why I ended up leaving, because I felt for me, for myself, and just finding my path in life, I didn't feel that I was really uncovering more meaning within myself and creating a positive impact in the world in some kind of way. So again, this is just my story, my experience. But during that, during my time in this environment, I was really unhealthy and I was very out of balance because I wanted to work very hard. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to, again, be part of this culture that was all around awards and high performance. But there was a lot of pressure around the type of work, the quality of work, and everyone was really pushing hard for results in a very unhealthy way. And in a lot of cases, it could be very imbalanced and very toxic. Now, also I want to talk about toxicity, because in a lot of work environments, toxicity can become very normalized. And when I was working in the corporate culture, I don't know if it's the same today. I mean, every company is different, every culture is different, but there was a lot of drinking involved, a lot of drugs involved, and a lot of numbing to just get through a week. So towards the end of the week, there was a release of going out, partying, a lot of drinking. In the company I was in for a while, we had every Thursday was almost a drinking event, right? So it was where the whole company got together and just had a few drinks and just socialized and stopped talking about work, took an hour off work early to do this. It was almost accepted, like it was almost like a ritual, if you will, to drink alcohol and to talk. And then of course there was a group of us that would just keep going until the rest of the night. And then Friday was pretty much a write-off. So we're not really productive when we are unhealthy, when we are in toxic environments. And toxicity breeds toxicity. Toxicity also attracts toxicity. So if you're working in a toxic environment, when there's a lot of drinking, when there's a lot of ego at play, when there's a lot of backstabbing, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on that we can get ourselves completely absorbed in, or we can find ourselves becoming entangled in some of these toxic environments. Even emotionally or psychologically or mentally. I mean, toxicity breeds on so many different levels. Of course, the alcoholism could be part of it, but when you become part of an environment that is toxic, then it's easy to lose self within that toxicity, whatever it is. So like I said, toxicity attracts toxicity and it breeds toxicity. And if you become part of that culture, then it's almost like you're accepted, even though it's not very normal and it's not very healthy, but it becomes normalized because everyone else is doing it, or a lot of people are doing it, or some really important people are doing it. So it almost becomes accepted. And that's the difficult side of these cultures, where there is a lot of toxicity because there are a lot of people who are not happy, who are unhappy with themselves on a personal level and who are not happy within that environment as well. But sometimes we can go so far deep into it and we don't even realize that we're unhealthy and that we're unhappy, and how our own traumas or our own personal wounds or stories or difficulties are playing out in the corporate world or in our corporate environment or work environment, I should say. This is applicable for entrepreneurs as well. So how we are in here, in our internal system, in the subconscious level, is affecting our reality in our work situation. So when we are operating in an unconscious way, we are just going with the flow. We are just allowing for things to happen. We're reacting unconsciously. We're making decisions unconsciously. We are working unconsciously. And this is where a lot of failures happen within the work culture. How could you perform optimally if there's a lot of toxicity in the environment, or if one is unhealthy with self? Now, if there's a very high performance driven culture on results, on performance, on awards, then there's a lot of pressure put on the employees as well. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with awards. There's nothing wrong with performance. There's nothing wrong with results and success. However, it's how it is being done. And can it be sustained that way? There's a high turnover in a lot of corporations as well. There's a huge percentage of employees that are unhappy and unfulfilled in corporations as well. And also, if there's a lot of push and pressure for working over hours, overtime, for even working on the weekends at home, it's very easy to take work home and be always on. And sometimes if people are a giving person and very considerate and wanting to prove and wanting to help and wanting to do the right things, then they can very well take on more responsibilities. And when you take on more responsibilities and when you work yourself to the bone, and when your life is all about work, imbalances then are created. So there are going to be balances within your life in some area. And what I've seen and witnessed, and myself included, what I've experienced is what the imbalances that were created were within myself. The imbalances were within myself. It was the detachment that I formed from myself that was created. I numbed myself out. I distracted myself with work, with performance. My ego was on. My ego was all about performance, proving, showing that I could succeed, showing my worth, creating wealth of some kind, like really trying to get ahead and prove something. My subconscious, my higher self, my soul being was completely shoved to the sidelines or shoved back and suppressed. And that's why I was very depressed. That's why I was having a really hard time, because I wasn't happy, but I didn't know why. But I was working really hard, but I wasn't getting anywhere. So you can find yourself in this web of issues and situations without a clear way out or understanding, okay, how do I actually just stop and get to the root of the problem and address that first so that I can change everything in my outwardly environment for the better? And that's what I did. And I had to leave the corporate culture. I basically couldn't sustain it anymore from a physical, mental, or emotional state. And I left and I went on my own. And it took several years for me to figure out myself, to find myself. And since I came to a place of understanding and started to work on my health, started to work on my well-being, starting to transform and understand who I really am and what's important for me and what I really want to do, then my work actually got better. And it doesn't mean that we have to stop working hard or that we'll have to change the way that we're working or working habits. Working habits, if you're working for a corporation or by yourself, then there's going to be investment involved no matter what. But it's in the energy and the frequency that we are operating that's the most important. Are we in alignment with our true self, with what we are doing? If we are unhappy, if there's depression, if there's anxiety, if we're miserable at work. I remember one work environment that I was in, one of my friends, a dear friend of mine, would get sick. She would get a cold every time she walked into the office. And as soon as she would leave, she would be fine. And she recognized that. She said, every time I walk into the office, I get sick. That's her body was talking to her. And she wasn't in alignment. She wasn't supposed to be there. So for whatever reason, she ended up there. Could have been for maybe temporarily she enjoyed what she was doing, but then we change over time as well. And during these adjustments, our personal adjustments, we start to understand what we like, what works, what doesn't work, and that's fine to go through those adjustments. But then we also have to have an exit strategy or a time out so that we can connect with ourselves, so that we can really align with who am I, what is really important. Am I operating by ego, wanting to prove myself, wanting to have a name for myself, wanting to have some kind of status, wanting to make X amount of money? Where are my values at? And really checking in. The health and wellness is also really important. Are we treating our body in alignment or in balance that is going to allow us to perform optimally? Or are we imbalanced within how we treat our body? Again, if we are influenced by people around us who might be adopting unhealthy habits for our body and wellness regimes. So it's really important to manage our health, especially the brain health. That is a big one. Now, it's easy to burn out. It's easy to even lose energy during the day. So how your energy is being optimized during the day is crucially important. But it all comes from here. How is our well-being within self? And then how are we treating our body? How are we treating our mind? How are we treating our emotions? And sometimes some people might need to sleep more than others. Some people are okay working really hard, but we also have to be careful of burnout. So the balance is so crucial, again, with ourself and looking at all aspects of our well-being, our emotions, our spiritual, our mental, our physical, our body. And also too, the money aspect of our society right now is so extreme. And so many people are chasing money. And there's nothing wrong with making money. Don't get me wrong again. I am all for being as successful as you can possibly be. But when you are in alignment with yourself and when you are coming from a place of authenticity and when your energy is optimal, then money is going to come to you naturally. And you're going to know what you want to create, the level of success, the career, the abundance. That is going to be a given. But you are going to have fun and you are going to enjoy and love what you do. And you're going to be unstoppable for the success that you want. So we have to also be careful that we're not chasing money. If we become very obsessed with money, how much money am I making? I just want to make money. I want to make a lot of money. I want to get ahead. I'm too poor. I can't get ahead. I am in lack, suffering. When am I going to be able to pay all my bills? I'm in debt. When all of that comes into play, and I've been through all of this, and again, I'm speaking from experience specifically, when that comes into play, you're limiting yourself, or we are limiting ourselves from creating more, from finding creative solutions, from tapping into our greatness, our creativity, our genius, right? So when we are so much in lack or so much in wanting and needing money, or money is just our big goal and all we see, then we become very limited. And again, we lose sense of self. We're going to lose sense of self, and we're going to cut off our ability to create, to find great solutions, to create things that are unique for us, maybe perhaps, to start something new and innovative, to collaborate and work with people we may not have done before, we may not have attracted before. So when we are in flow, when we know what we want and we know the level of success, then we can take care of our body, mind, soul. We find our balance, we find our energetic frequency of creation, of abundance, and we can create more, or we can create our goals based on ease and flow and fulfillment. So again, there's nothing wrong with working hard. There's nothing wrong with managing several projects at once. But we don't have to burn ourselves out and push so hard because of the need and the drive of our ego, or the drive of what society is expecting, or what our peers are expecting, or what we're going to be able to do to make money. So the money is going to be key. Where do we see our values? Where do we see ourselves lining up with the success that we want versus our need and our drive? And what is our need and our drive? Is it because we're passionate about something? Is it because we are excited about something? Or is it because we want or need something? The want and the need is where it's going to become limited, because that's an old paradigm. The money, money, money thing is old paradigm. It's heavy, dense energy that's very restrictive. Finding flow and alignment and living within abundance and doing what we love to do, but knowing that, yes, knowing my worth, having confidence, knowing that, yes, I am going to succeed to a certain level of accomplishment. That's all you need. Then you just have fun. And like I said, since I have found this flow and I've let go of the pressure, the ego, the drive of wanting, needing, and in lack at the same time, my work has gotten better. I become way more relaxed about things. I'm enjoying life more. My health is way better, and I'm more aware. I'm more aware about myself. I'm more aware about other people and work, and it heightens my ability to create. It heightens my ability to enjoy and to be in flow with life in general. So I hope this video found you when you need it the most with regards to hustle culture. You can still have a high performance ability and drive based on health, based on focus, based on the balance within yourself, and your external world is crucially important. You'll actually perform higher, you'll have better quality results, and you'll get to enjoy life more. So I'm wishing you all the best at this time, and until next time, see you soon and take care.